Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Dolphins QB viewed as Dak Prescott replacement for Cowboys. Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys is entering the final year of his contract. The Miami Dolphins have a contract decision on Tua Tagovailoa, which has yet to be made. With this scenario, Christopher Klein of Fansided put together 5 Prescott replacements the Cowboys should have an eye on for 2025. Of the 5, Klein lists Tagovailoa as an option. I'm not sure Tagovailoa has earned his next contract, which threatens to vastly outweigh his on-field talent. Even so, he's a definite starter, one of the 15 or 20 best QBs in the NFL, probably, which is enough to warrant an investment from the Cowboys. Tagovailoa operates with tremendous precision in the pocket. He doesn't have elite arm strength, but the Alabama product thinks the game at a high level and executes intermediate throws as well as anyone. He's a lateral move at best, probably a significant step back, but Tagovailoa has at least proven that he can lead a suitably talented offense to the playoffs. Dallas isn't short on playmaking weapons, so long as CeeDee Lamb sticks around. Tagovailoa wouldn't be the ideal 2025 starter, but as far as Prescott replacements go, Dallas could do much worse. Despite staying healthy all season, questions are still at an all-time high for Tagovailoa. The Miami Dolphins struggled against playoff teams, going just 1-5 against teams that made the playoffs in 2023. Not only did they go 1-5 against playoff teams, but they also had a -91-point differential in those games. They averaged just 17.7 points per game against playoff teams, compared to 37.1 against non-playoff teams. In an effort to fix that, Prescott could be the solution in Mike McDaniel's offense, writes Klein. According to Klein, the Dolphins would be the dream destination for the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. If the Cowboys let Dak Prescott hit free agency, the dream destination, at least from an entertainment standpoint, is the Miami Dolphins. Imagine Prescott in Mike McDaniel's system, with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle at his disposal. Miami has not inked Tua Tagovailoa to an extension, leaving him in the same bind as Prescott. That said, the Dolphins' confidence in Tagovailoa is probably not equal to the Cowboys' confidence in Prescott. If Miami has a chance to meaningfully upgrade its starting quarterback, now is the time. The Dolphins' title window won't stay open in perpetuity. The Miami Dolphins scored the third most points in the NFL, scoring 27.9 points per game. The Dallas Cowboys led the league in points with 30.1 per game, and Prescott was a large part to that. Tagovailoa was also a big factor in the Dolphins' offense being as potent as it was. Prescott had similar numbers to Tagovailoa, throwing for 4,516 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Tagovailoa showed in 2023 that when he's healthy, he can put up impressive stats, evident by his league-leading passing yards. The Cowboys and Dolphins are in similar quarterback situations as in they both have a decision to make. Both have played well, but the front offices have to figure out if they're the right person to lead the team. Cowboys seem to twist CeeDee Lamb comments into something they weren't. On Monday, a report emerged that Cowboys receiver CeeDee Lamb is expected to skip the voluntary portion of the offseason program, and possibly will skip the mandatory minicamp. A video then emerged on TMZ.com of Lamb answering very general questions about his future. He wasn't asked whether he'll stay away from voluntary workouts or mandatory minicamp. He was only asked whether he'll be in Dallas. Saying "I'll be in Dallas" doesn't mean he won't be holding out. The Cowboys don't see it that way. The team's official website bootstraps Lamb's statement into proof positive that he won't hold out for the new contract he has earned. The article in question characterizes Lamb as someone who doesn't appear bothered, concerned or dismayed by his ongoing contract negotiations, and that he doesn't sound like a player who is worried about his future with the Cowboys. Whether he'll be in Dallas this season and whether he'll participate in the offseason program are two very different questions. The Cowboys and the league's official website, which wrote its own item on Lamb's comments, don't see it that way. They surely know better. Whether the goal is to downplay the team's failure to make an acceptable offer to date or to position Lamb to be criticized if, when he ultimately stays away, Lamb has not committed to being at offseason workouts. He has earned a long-term deal, and he has played 4 seasons. The Cowboys, who seem to like to delay paying their stars, even though it rarely gets cheaper over time, have yet to make him an offer he won't refuse. The challenge is finding the right number for both sides. The Cowboys' leverage comes from having Lamb under contract for 2024 and also having the franchise tag available for 2025. Lamb has one way to create leverage: by denying services. He can, and he should. And no one should interpret his remarks to TMZ.com as evidence that he won't. Cowboys could trade projected $102 million star if talks get ugly, insider. The Cowboys' offseason has been a major disappointment, as 5 starters have departed and few reinforcements have been brought in behind them. One reason for the lack of activity has been the series of postseason's disappointments the Cowboys have suffered in past years. But another has a lot more to do with the future, namely the impending contract extensions Dallas will need to hand out to 3 top stars: Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. And it remains entirely possible that the Cowboys look at the future and decide they can't keep all 3. Each is looking not only for a big payoff, but for the biggest payoff among all NFL players at their position. That will mean more than $50 million per year for Prescott, more than $30 million per year for Lamb and more than $34 million for Parsons. If the Cowboys are forced to decide which of the 3 they can't keep, it could very well be Parsons, according to The Athletic's John Machota. Now, to be sure, Machota writes that he thinks the Cowboys will sign all 3 players back. Why be so careful in free agency if the plan is not to keep the stars in place? The only way things could get off the rails is if Parsons wants to get well ahead of the $34 million per year that fellow edge rusher Nick Bosa got last year. Here's how Machota put it: Parsons is the choice only because his asking price could get to a level where the Cowboys determine they might be better off going in another direction. San Francisco 49ers edge rusher Nick Bosa currently tops the NFL as the highest-paid defender at $34 million per season. Parsons is probably going to want to top that number. But by how much? If it's in that neighborhood, everything will probably work itself out. But what if it's significantly more than that? If contract talks get ugly, maybe they try to work out a trade. I don't see it getting to that level, but it can't be completely ruled out. Trading Parsons would be a considerable shock, but given the circumstances, assuming Prescott and Lamb are re-signed, it is understandable. The Cowboys would want a hefty ransom in return and, even if they got a deal in place for Parsons, it is unlikely they could truly replace what he brings to the defense. Parsons deserves to get paid, for certain. But how much and whether it should be more than Bosa is the big question. Spotrac projects his market value well below that of Bosa, at $25.4 million per year, for a total of $102 million over 4 years. That is dwarfed by the 5 years and $170 million Bosa is slated to get. Parsons is just 24 years old and has been very durable in his 3 seasons, which include 2 All-Pro selections and 3 Pro Bowl selections. Parsons has missed 1 game in 3 seasons, and has had 13.0, 13.5 and 14.0 sacks in each of his years in Dallas. He had a Pro Football Focus grade of 92.4 last year, which was second among all edge rushers, behind Cleveland's Myles Garrett. The Cowboys are not likely to let a talent like that walk away, even if they play hardball with him in negotiations. It's a possibility, but the best bet is still that Dallas keeps the trio of Lamb, Prescott and Parsons together. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation of Micah Parsons? Leave your opinion in the comments.